struggle in the playoffs if?
Well, yeah, that Bakhtiari news is bad, but I think if you focus on Aaron Rodgers specifically, the pressure and not having Bakhtiari at left tackle, like that's going to impact how much pressure Aaron Rodgers is under. And Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback. It's hard to find a weakness with him, especially how he's playing this year. But all quarterbacks get a little worse when it comes to pressure. But Aaron Rodgers seems to get quite a bit worse when it comes to pressure. So if you look at his QBR throughout the season, overall, he's #1 in the league. You look at it against pressure, he drops down to 12, which is closer to middle of the pack. So if you control for all the quarterbacks, you put in all the plays that all the quarterbacks are in pressure, he's nowhere near the top of the league. He's still somebody who I trust because if you blitz him, which is different than pressure. If you blitz him and he sees it coming, he can pick you apart. He's really great against the blitz because he understands how to beat the blitz. But if you can pressure him, whether it's through a blitz that he doesn't see coming, a blitz that he doesn't expect, or pressure him just with 4 and potentially play some sort of zone in behind so there's not enough time to necessarily get rid of the ball quickly to your hot reads or to attack the defense downfield, that all quarterbacks obviously struggle against that, but that's the only way that you see Aaron Rodgers' numbers go down. And Patrick Mahomes, who we're not talking about right now, but if you look at his difference between pressure and not under pressure, a guy like that, a younger guy who seems to be a little bit more athletic and is a special player, it's not as big. So you can possibly get Aaron Rodgers to play like the 12th best quarterback in the league if you can get pressure on him. However, the challenge there is getting pressure on him without also leaving Adams lined up or one-on-one on the outside, because then he's going to crush you.
Yeah, that's obviously the way you want to get to Aaron Rodgers. And, Dom mentioned the Bakhtiari news, and you did as well, Charlie. Like, that's huge. We're talking about a left tackle that you can leave on an island. He's like having a great corner, and you kind of scheme away from a guy like David Bakhtiari. So having this situation also plays with the mind and the psyche of a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is a deep thinker, right? They did a piece on Aaron Rodgers here, and he was talking about certain things that happen with the planes and the missions in the sky and all these different things, all these different conspiracy theories. Well, when he doesn't have to think about that left tackle, when he doesn't have to think about the protection of his blind side, he can be a better quarterback. And so now he's going to have to worry about that. You may have to switch some things around if you're Matt LaFleur. But I think the other thing we have to note in playing the Packers is also their defense, right? What happens when the team comes to Green Bay and decides to run the football? What if it's Chris Carson or if it's Alvin Kamara or some of these teams who can run the football well? How does this defense hold up against them? Because we've seen when teams approach the Green Bay Packers with physicality, it changes who they are. Not only Aaron Rodgers on the offense, like Dom says, dropping to a middle of the pack quarterback, but when the physicality is implemented in games, whether it's the Minnesota Vikings and Dalvin Cook or the Indianapolis Colts and Jonathan Taylor in the second half of that game, or if you go early on to the season, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers putting pressure and playing man-to-man on the outside against Devontae Adams, we've seen physicality change who the Green Bay Packers were. And that's the way to beat this team. That's the way to attack this team. And Dom is right. Aaron Rodgers, and the way that he's played this year, you're truly nitpicking if you want to critique an MVP caliber year by Aaron Rodgers. But that's what's going to happen in the playoffs. It takes one day. It takes 60 minutes. And if you aren't great in those 60 minutes, you lose. And the Green Bay Packers have to be aware of the rush, as Dom says, and they also have to be aware of the rush of the other team offensively, because I believe that's the way teams will try to attack them and beat them.
Yeah, you can't beat Aaron Rodgers just lining up and just playing a static defense. They're going to figure it out. You're going to have to change up the looks. You're going to have to get pressure on them. And to the point that I made a moment ago, I was just looking it up about Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has the second best QBR in the league. Aaron Rodgers has #1. You put pressure on Aaron Rodgers, he drops to a 32 QBR, which is 2 above the league average, makes him 12th in the league. Patrick Mahomes drops to 73. He's #1 in the league. So I know we talk about this MVP or not conversation, but that is the difference in those two players. Aaron Rodgers can still win the MVP, but that is the difference in those two players, because Patrick Mahomes is going to get them big plays whether you get pressure on him or not. He's going to break your back, and I'm not sure that Aaron Rodgers is capable of doing that reliably in this situation. And just another thing that, since we're talking about those two quarterbacks, that I always found incredibly interesting. Last year, before the Super Bowl, I wrote a piece about Patrick Mahomes' weaknesses. He doesn't have any, obviously, but I dug deep into his stats and found that he is actually below league average when it comes to QBR and against play action pass or in play action pass, which is crazy because everyone else gets better. And that was true of him last year. Yeah. That was true of him his entire NFL career. He was below average in QBR. And even all the way back to college, he was below average in QBR versus or when he is doing play action passes. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I just think it's interesting, so y'all need to know it.
Way to do your research, Tom. Good job. Guys, the Packers lead the NFL in scoring with 31.6 points per game. Again, they will clinch the NFC with a win on Sunday against Chicago. All right, let's keep it going. We still got more football to talk about.
We have kind of romanticized and fantasized a little bit about what Ryan Fitzpatrick truly is to this team. In the games that he's inserted, not only is Tua kind of playing within himself or not playing well, but they're down. And they're down because they're playing a better team. Well, I expect Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs to be sitting next to me watching this game or somewhere up in the suite or maybe somewhere holding a tablet. I don't believe that those guys are going to play. And let's not forget, during the 6-2 run that they've been on with Tua Tagovailoa as the starting quarterback, he's taken not just the majority of the snaps, but over 85% of the snaps, over 90% of the snaps. And so though we enjoy seeing Ryan Fitzpatrick come in the game and throw the football around and move this team in critical moments and have some fun, Tua Tagovailoa has been the quarterback of this team. He's been the starter. He's been the leader. And we have seen him play good football so impressively sometimes that we talk about him being the franchise guy of the future. We say that they got it right with this pick. And so to me, I think Tua has everything he needs in this situation. I think he's shown he's had this type of medal before in college, and he'll show it again against a Buffalo Bills team that's already clinched their playoff position.
Yeah, I think that Tua, I'm not as bullish on Tua as you are, but I do still think that he wins this game because of the thing you said off the top. Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen and any of the players of consequence for the Bills shouldn't play any more than a quarter, a couple of drives, and be on the sideline. And also the coaching staff for the Bills, they should be focused on game planning for their potential opponents the following week. So I think that Tua, when they go out there and he's going to face some vanilla defenses, he's not going to face the top players. I think that he is good enough to win that situation. I also said before we found out this news about Fitzpatrick that I thought Fitzpatrick should start and play this game because I don't think it's even been close. I think Fitzpatrick has been a better quarterback this particular season. And I made the comment yesterday that I think that Fitzpatrick is high risk, high reward, and that Tua is a little bit low risk, low reward. I think I was wrong. I was right about Fitzpatrick, but I think Tua is a little bit more high risk, low reward. I was listening to, I think it was the Pro Football Focus podcast yesterday with Sam and Steve, and they were talking a bunch about the turnover-worthy plays. And that prompted me to go back and look at Tua's games. And it's not about the amount of fumbles he has that he loses or the amount of interceptions that he throws, because that is luck. Whether the DBs can catch or whether the ball bounces to one of your linemen or bounces to one of their linemen. That is luck. If you look at his turnover-worthy plays, it's up over 20. So he's been lucky this year. And I went back and watched so many of those games that I came away thinking, well, it was not that bad. He's not blowing it for you. He's going to make a couple plays here and there. And then I saw that he was actually making some mistakes that weren't costing them nearly as much. And I hate that. It's not good. And Ryan Fitzpatrick will make those same plays. But Ryan Fitzpatrick has been making the high-end plays also that Tua hasn't necessarily been making consistently. But that doesn't change my feelings about this team. This team is still good. They're well coached. They're headed in the right direction. And they're playing a Bills team that, frankly, could care less. Unless they're going out there trying to pass some stats or something or make some last push for MVP for Josh Allen. Other than that, those guys need to be out there just trying to make sure they don't get hurt. They need to be playing Pro Bowl football. That's what they should be playing. Just Pro Bowl football, focus on next week. So if the Dolphins can't win in that situation, they don't deserve to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, no, look, I agree. I think that the Dolphins would be a more dangerous team in the playoffs if they had Fitzpatrick as their quarterback. And look, the saying of no risk it, no biscuit, I'm saying Fitzpatrick takes risk. He's going to throw the football. In the game where he came into the Denver matchup, Tua had thrown for 83 yards passing. So you think about a quarterback, if you don't take risk and you don't throw the ball down the field because you're being conservative and you're young, you're a rookie, these are new things that you're seeing for the first time as a starting quarterback in the NFL. A rookie is at a disadvantage. And when you play against a rookie, what do? They make rookie mistakes. They don't take risks. They don't throw the ball in the coverage because they're afraid to turn the football over. So, yeah, he has 10 touchdown passes and 2 picks. I get it. But how many more throws downfield does he not complete because he doesn't want to take the risk of turning the football over? Right. And when Fitzpatrick's in the game, guess what? He's throwing the ball down the field, just like the Vegas game. He's taking risks. He's getting hit in the face, throwing the ball down the field, and helping the team win. So, do I think Tua is the long-term solution for the Dolphins? Yeah, I think he's going to be a great quarterback. He's got to learn the position. He's going to be better. But without Fitzpatrick on the sideline, I feel when you watch them going to the sideline, Fitzpatrick sitting down, showing Tua some things on the tablet. He's showing him the coverages. He helps him during the game. So I think it's not going to help Tua in this matchup, but I still think the Bills are going to rest their players. Dolphins are probably going to win this game. But moving forward, I think Fitzpatrick gives them the best chance of winning in the playoffs.
Guys, as opposed to you also got to realize this, right? Some of the conversation that goes on with these teams. When you're playing with Ryan Fitzpatrick